Not all revenue is created equal. How can two businesses make the same amount of revenue, sales, turnover, yet one business is worth 5 times as much as the other? It oftentimes comes down to the business model. And not just the actual business model, but even the characterization of the business model. And that can oftentimes be the difference of 7 to 8 figures in a potential exit or sale of a business. I'm Arthur Petropoulos, Managing Partner here at Hillview Partners. We're a middle market, lower middle market, M&A, capital advisory firm, investment banking firm, helping companies typically generating $1 million to $10 million in pre-tax earnings or EBITDA, sell their companies, or secure capital. And so first, let's break down what are the 3 models of business. So within any industry that you look at, whether it's food or freight, software or shoes, tacos or tequila. I guess we don't need that many more stupid examples, but you get the point. In any industry, you're going to have 3 effective business models that you can almost put every company into a bucket of. The first of these is going to be recurring businesses. And so when I mean recurring, think of that as contractually obligated businesses to continue paying someone to do a thing. Now, there's going to be terms on a contract, but generally speaking, that can be software, it can be Netflix and media. It doesn't just need to be tech. It can be pest control, window cleaning, recurring services in that regard too, property maintenance and management. But recurring business being something that has a contract, something that has timelines of every X amount of days you pay this and you get that. Right? Now, secondly, you're going to have reoccurring businesses. Now, these are businesses where the relationship is not one of contract. However, the customer continues to buy. And so we've seen that in lots of specialty consulting firms where every time clients have certain types of issues, they go to these consulting firms, or certain types of objectives that they're looking to accomplish, they go to these consulting firms. In a very kind of pragmatic or day-to-day sense, I mean, think of Coca-Cola and Pepsi. There's not a contract to buy it, but people go in and they buy it every time they go to the supermarket. And the third category of businesses are going to be project-based or ad hoc, one-off types of businesses. And so these are, hey, I need someone to paint a beautiful picture of this thing. I need someone to build this one thing that's never going to be replicated. I need someone to solve this gigantic mess on my behalf. And so how do these impact value? Well, think of investors or acquirers or capital providers in businesses looking at businesses not just from what it is likely to produce, but how predictable, how durable is that production. Now, we've talked in many videos about durable competitive advantages of businesses. Why is someone better? But contracts can be a proxy for durability in the sense that the recurring nature of something, you can pay more for something if you know it is going to happen for a longer period of time. For instance, if I put a quarter into a machine and it gave me a nickel back every day, as long as it gives me back more than 5 nickels, it's a good investment, presumably. The amount of days it gives me that nickel back will be even more accretive. You can pay even more for that machine, if you will. I mean, that's not the best example, but if you had a customer that paid you $1,000 a month for your service, product, or offering, if you could be certain that this customer would be around for 12 months, you'd know they were going to provide $12,000. If you knew they were going to be around for 2 years, you'd have $24,000. And so simply said, predictability is valued highly from an acquirer or capital provider's perspective, and obviously recurring or a contractual, here's paper that says they have to continue paying us, is quite a predictable situation. Now, we said actual as well as characterized. Now, some people will look at the world or try to say that the world is simply just recurring and everything else, and that's overly simplified. Recurring is contractual, and yes, it says it in paper, but reoccurring. We've had acquirers that we talked to and have sold multiple businesses to that say, I don't care what the contracts say, show me the customer duration, right? And so reoccurring can be valued oftentimes just like recurring, so long as there's a long history. You don't have a contract with a particular customer, however, that customer continues to come back to you and ask for the same services and products over and over and over again. Now take that one step further out, right? And so one, you could have a reoccurring business that you characterize as a recurring business, but then you can also have businesses that may optically look project-oriented that are not truly project-oriented. And so if there's a company that installs infrastructure for buildings, that does architectural or engineering work for buildings, are those projects? Sure. But if they are doing many of these projects, if the customers are the same, or if there's just more of the same kinds of customers, then that is equally, in our opinion, as reoccurring as other businesses. So it's not just is there a contract, it's not just is it the same precise customers, but from our perspective, you can illustrate a business as reoccurring if the business continues to do the same precise work. And what helps with that is the characterization of what you sell in a productized fashion. Simply being said, let's say you're a company that does architectural renderings for certain types of buildings. If you productize the offering to say, we do these 5 levels of drawings, we do these 5 levels of work, and it breaks into these categories. If it's productized, then ultimately when you go to sell the business or see if the business has acquirers, again, more simplified, if you say, we sell 5 kinds of candy bars, this is how many of each candy bar we've sold over the last few years, and here's how many we project to sell in the future. If there's, again, a history of people buying the things you offer in a productized fashion so that we can say you sold this many candy bars last year, you're likely to sell this many candy bars next year, that creates enterprise value versus saying we just kind of jump into a situation, clean up a mess, or do a thing for somebody, and then everyone's precisely different. In any business, every single engagement is going to be slightly different. There's going to be nuance in everything that you do. However, if you can productize it, then you can project it as more recurring or more reoccurring. So to kind of boil down this nature, there's 3 business models: recurring, reoccurring, and project-oriented. On one end of the spectrum is recurring, contractually based stuff. On the other end of the spectrum is ad hoc project. Nothing's ever the same. And there's a continuum of value that goes along with that, in the sense that recurring businesses can oftentimes be valued at multiples of what a project business could be valued at. However, the magic of it is pushing the business as far up that spectrum of recurring nature as possible to characterize it to the acquiring audience or capital providers that it has recurring or reoccurring characteristics to it. And that can be solved by the creation of product, in terms of productizing the offering. We don't just do a bunch of ad hoc consulting. We do these 5 types of consultings to these 5 types of customers, and that way we can map the historical performance of the business into the future. Second is going to be the duration of customers. And so it's not just the duration of specific customers, but the duration that you've had any customers. So if you have a 25-year-old project-oriented business, it should be very easy to characterize that as a reoccurring business because you've continued to sell more of it. It's not that you're reinventing the wheel every year. And so really it's product and duration that can characterize a project-oriented business as a reoccurring business. And so if someone says to you, oh, I don't know about your business because it's not recurring, it's not contractual. You can say, look, there's many elements of our business that are reoccurring in nature. And if they say, yeah, but reoccurring is not recurring, you can say, well, look at Starbucks, look at Coca-Cola, look at Pepsi. And so it's about having elements of your business that are reoccurring that you can define as such, as well as characterizing the ultimate product, service, or offering as a durable, continuable, predictable revenue stream that will go into the future. And so that's a thought for today. The 3 business models, the continuum of recurring to reoccurring to project-oriented, the valuation that will effectively track downward from the first or upward from the last, however you want to look at it. But the idea is figure out how to make your business more reoccurring, 1, and 2, figure out how to make sure that you clearly communicate, which is our job every day, why a business is reoccurring. Because truly, if a business has been around for multiple years, there's really not that many one-off businesses. A one-off business is a one-time thing that you do. It's cutting down your grandma's tree. If you've had a business for 25 years, it is reoccurring. You just have to know how to characterize it as such and tweak things and optimize things such that it can be defended as such. That's the thought for today. Hope the week's going well for everyone. Keep pushing forward. God bless. We'll see everyone next time.